we are live now, Brandon.
Excellent. All right.
Hey everybody, all of you who have joined us for this webinar. My name is Rashmi. Before we start this webinar, just a quick check. I wanna make sure I am audible to you guys. So please let me know in the chat section so that we can move ahead with the webinar. Let me know in the chat section if I'm audible. Okay. Hi Harshad.
Hey guys.
Awesome. I think we are audible to all of them.
Excellent.
Okay, my entire team is over here behind the scenes working for this. All right, cool. All right, I think we are completely loud and clear. So, thank you so much, webinar. Thank you so much, Brandon, for joining us today for this webinar. We have got around more than 350 plus registrations, and we have a list of these questions. More than 50 plus questions we have. I don't know how many we would be able to cover in this very short period of time, but
Sure.
I'll try to take up as many as we can. To everybody who have joined us live right now, let me introduce myself very quickly and the speaker for today. And I'll quickly talk about the flow of this webinar, how this is going to look like, and then you can start it out. So once again, my name is Rashmi. I am a community specialist with Designhill. And to those who do not know Designhill, we are a global marketplace for graphic designers and business owners to come and work together, offering services from design contest to one-to-one service to graphic design service ranging from logo design, packaging design, t-shirt design, and many more. Our speaker for today, Brandon, is a digital strategist and has worked with brands like LG, Hilton, Disney, and he's going to talk about how to build a personal brand today, which I think is going to be very, very valuable such session for all of us today. So thank you so much, Brandon, for joining us today. Over to you now.
Excellent. So, ladies and gents, I'm super excited about today because we're going to be talking about how to actually build a personal brand that gets you hired and highly paid. Obviously, Rashmi did an excellent job of introducing me. Outside of just my awkward face in this picture, you guys can find me on Instagram at this channel. And basically, like I said, I help designers build their brand, help them increase their skill, get hired, and highly paid. So first off, we're going to be talking about what exactly is a personal brand, why is it so important, and the reason is, and why I like to focus on this is because, well, first off, let's start off with the personal brand. Personal brand is just anything that helps you specifically stand out uniquely. It's nothing more important than that, and it's just helping other people identify you as a unique person. Now, why exactly the personal brand is so important is because it is a competitive edge against so many other people you're competing against in the marketplace. For example, I always say I'm not the smartest tool in the shed. I am not the best designer out there. There's so many other things that I'm inadequate at. But the thing is I'm able to get visibility where my counterparts are not. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. You don't have to be the smartest person to do this. You don't have to be the most skilled person to do this. And I'm just really excited to kind of give you guys not hope, but you don't have to be the best at anything to do the best in your field. So with that said, that is why branding is important. It's the competitive edge against everybody else in your field, because a lot of people might have skill, they might have the smarts, but a lot of the time they don't put in the hard work to actually get visible, to get hired. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So how to actually get seen for your work. If you guys are not familiar with me and you guys are watching this, go ahead and check out my Instagram right now. Obviously, I have over 90, I don't even know the number, 92,000 people. But the thing here is the game with personal branding is how can you get known for a particular skill set. For me, I'm known as an inspiration or a design hype beast. So the thing here is how you want to think about this is how can you get seen for what it is that you're really good at doing in your market. So let's say for me, for instance, I wanted to get known for design inspiration, or at least as a designer. So every day for a full year, I didn't miss a day, I posted and curated content that was specific to my niche, therefore making a name for myself to be seen as a thought leader in that space. So for example, if you wanted to be a thought leader in what example, in marketing, somehow every day, whether it's blogging, making videos, or curating content, and I always say curating content is probably the best way to go about it, because we get tired. Creating content, creating videos, writing something every day absolutely sucks. I'm just going to say that because it gets really strenuous, especially if you're starting out. You have to come up with something new every day. And not only do we have to do that, but we have we have family, we have work on top of that, especially if we're not, fully into our business already. We have so many other things on top of our list before we even get to our personal brand. So be smart about it. How to get seen and known for your work is, I always say, curate first. Become known for a specific topic and find topics, or think of yourself as a aggregating news source. A lot of people in your industry want to know what the best new hottest things are. So think of yourself as like, what can I bring to my industry that people are really looking for, but let me do all the hard work for them so they don't have to search, and let me bring that all to the table so I can be the one source. And sorry, I just saw in the chat, guys, please don't spam me. I was like, I'm not spamming, guys. But you want to be able to be a whole source for where people can come to get an answer, basically. And so a lot of people ask, like, what even good is a personal brand? Like, what is the competitive edge? Like, yeah. And if you're looking at my stuff, you're like, oh, great. Okay. You curate great design work. And now I've kind of done the same thing. Like, how is this going to help me? Now, the next steps that usually happen with building a personal brand, you're supposed to be a whole source of information for people, whether that's learning something new, helping people do something. So basically, that's like giving knowledge or helping with a service. How exactly does a personal brand help you do that? It positions you to build relationships. A lot of people ask me, like, what is the point of social media? Is social media supposed to help me build clients, or like, what exactly is going on here? How is it helping me? And the thing is, it's more so connections than anything. I went from 2 years ago not having any of the client lists that I have, which now I'm able to work with Adobe, Disney, Dannon, LG, Hilton. Like, that is my client list. And there's plenty more, but that's my client list. And a lot of people ask, like, well, how did your social media exactly help you get there? And it was just like, people knew me as the go-to person for design, animation, inspiration. And once I started doing that on a constant basis, people knew to go to me for those things, even though they might not have been looking. Let's say for one of their projects, they were looking for inspiration for what it is that they wanted to do. They found me and they were like, hey, can you actually do this? And the thing is, you don't have to do everything that you are curating or putting out on the internet. You can build a network of people who know how to do those things. So for example, people will come to me and be like, Brandon, we saw this on your Instagram feed, or we saw you post this. And they were like, can you do this? And I was like, absolutely not. I cannot, but I know the person who can. And that is actually a business model. A lot of people don't realize that you can build connections with other people who do know how to do these things, and get transactions off of that. So for example, if somebody needs, like, for example, somebody sees my work and they're asking for a logo, I don't do the logo. I can outsource that to a logo I've met online through my brand building, and basically bridge that whole network. A client comes to me, I go to a service provider, and then I build that triangle of network. So the big thing here with personal brand is actually, oops, I see my video got put. Okay, video is good. All right. But basically, I want you guys to leave this whole session thinking like, only reason that you should be building a personal brand is to build a network. And through networking, you will actually be able to move into work that you want to do, but also when you're asked about work that you necessarily can't provide, you can go and ask somebody else to provide that service to whoever's asking. So personal branding, number one, helps with network massively. So let's talk about the do's and don'ts, okay? Because
Brandon, can I
there's
add
yeah,
something
sure.
here?
What's up? Yeah, go ahead.
Just just to everyone who is live with us right now, although I have your questions already, but if you have more questions, please put your questions in the questions tab. And after every 15 minutes of the session, we are gonna take up the questions from that section itself. So do not put the questions in the chat section. Please put it in the questions tab, and we will try to answer as many questions as we can. Yeah, Brandon, you can go ahead now.
Excellent. So let's talk about really quickly the do's and don'ts of personal branding. A lot of people try to do too much. This is the number one thing. And you can see it as simply, I'm very focused on Instagram, just because it's so simple and I'm able to generate a lot of traffic through this. A big don't for like the number one don't, like if you don't remember anything else, this is the big don't do more than one thing. I only focus on design inspiration and showcasing the most in highly professional design animations in the industry. People know to come to me for that, and from that I get people in my network wanting that sort of thing. They constantly come back to me for that, and the people or the service providers that actually do this sort of thing also flock to me. So my number one thing is focus on one thing. So regardless of where you guys are in your journey as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's working in-house, focus on being known for one thing. So whether that's, if you're really good at cutting grass, be known as that person who's really good at cutting grass. If you're really good at development, be really good at being known as the best developer. Now, another thing is going a little bit deeper is because there's already a lot of people who are really good at development, really good at cutting grass, really good at design. You have to take it a step further, but you have to at least start there in terms of knowing generally where you want to be really good at, or where in your skill set you want to be good. So the next step is, okay, within development, within design, within grass cutting, what exactly will people come to me that is more unique? For me, it's design, really high quality design animation. So that's in the topic of design, it's in animation, and it's like top class cutting edge animation. So it's 3 tiers deep. Design goes into animation, but like the top bleeding edge animations that you really don't see anywhere else. Somewhere else, let's go to grass cutting, just to make it so like not even in my field it can apply to anybody else. You could be somebody who cuts grass, but only cuts. You can do 2 ways. You can do like very large organization grass cutting, where you're doing you just do large landscapes, or you can be the grass cutter who, instead of just cutting grass, you actually design shrubs, where if someone hires you, you actually come and turn their shrubs into animals. It's very 2 different value propositions. So you have to be very unique in your positioning. The do's, I guess that's the don'ts. Don't spam people, like somebody said. Don't go in too many directions at once. And I think those are the 2 main things here. The do's are, do something unique. To find something that's unique is find other people in your market that are doing too much of the same thing, and just go the opposite direction. So if everybody is cutting shrubs to look like dogs, go cut cats. Or if somebody is doing X, Y, and Z type of website, show people why your type of website is way better and why it's more functional for their business, X, Y, and Z. So be unique and actually build connections. Like social media, especially when it comes to a personal brand, you do not want to be known as that person who's just constantly pushing your services down somebody's throat. That's not personal branding, or it is, but it's not the kind that we want. That's showcasing to people that you are just trying to make a buck. And that is not what personal branding is. It's all about meeting people, building connections first. And at the end of that, you're going to have a whole network of people where you can do business with, because they just like you as a person. So how to, Rashmi, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I was about to ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
So you talked about the do's of building a personal brand, which you mentioned that one has to do something unique which others are not doing in the market. So a lot of people, we have seen people asking us question during the webinar, is that they find it very difficult to find the niche, right? So can you throw some light on it? What are your suggestions for those who are struggling with finding a niche for themselves?
Right. Okay. So leveraging your brand. So once you get to an actual size, this is the thing where, just like if you have a large network, right? You can call like your mom or your dad and they'll help you out with anything. This is kind of the same thing. That is a highly you just have a relationship with your mom and dad, hopefully. And anyone in your family. Now, when it comes to leveraging other relationships, for example, this is actually how I was able to work with Adobe. I was constantly posting content that were being created by the people in their network. So I was constantly pushing up design work in my Instagram feed. I see some of you guys are linking it in the chat here, so you can check that out. I constantly post designers' work daily. And basically, when I saw, this is the opportunity that I found designers who are highly connected with Adobe, and I was pushing up content in my timeline that I know that they would see and be like, oh my God, that's so awesome. But also that I knew that Adobe would see. And I only knew that they would see this was because I already had the numbers. Granted, you have to put in the hard work before, any of this can actually transpire. This was around when I started having like 10,000, 20,000 followers, but you have to put in that hard work of showing up every day and just curating, creating content, and providing value to those who are following you. Or at least putting out value so that people have a reason to follow or have an interest. And finally, when you have those numbers, you're able to, you have something that you can leverage, an audience. You can go to people you want to work with and say, hey, I have X amount of people who really enjoy the type of stuff that you're outputting. And granted, this is only for me personally, or people who are trying to, I guess this is almost influencer marketing or almost media marketing, where I have a audience of, I run about 259,000 people see my content on the weekly. So I can say, hey, X brand or Adobe, I have an audience of this many people who love the type of content that you guys are outputting. You can see it in example A, B, and C. I would really love to do work with you guys. What are your guys' thoughts? And they can come back and say yes or no. But, being able to leverage your personal brand and your influence is something that is a huge perk of a personal brand. Like, you can't do this off of your work. You can, but it's a little bit different. Well, no, it works the same way. You can say, hey, we've done work with, if you're trying to pitch to another brand, let's say in this example, it's like LG or Hilton, and you say, hey, LG or Hilton, we've done work with Adobe. This is what it looks like. And would you like something similar, or we would love to work with you on something similar? So I guess it goes both ways. Leveraging your personal brand can be you're just really good at what you do, or you have an audience. In my case, it's an audience, and I kind of want to bisect or explain that here. My value proposition is I have an audience to bring to brands, whereas other people might have a skill to bring to brands. So I also want to outline that as well.
Awesome. So shall we take few more questions and go ahead, or do you wanna move ahead with the presentation?
Oh, we can do live Q&A. That was it.
Okay, so let's take one more question then.
Sure.
Yeah, so we have one more question in the questions tab. It is, how did you get credibility when you first started to get to be known as the guy who does, like, how did you get that credibility when you were not a personal brand?
Yeah, I mean, you're always a personal brand, and no one ever starts with credibility. I had no credibility. The credibility comes from doing consistent actions towards a consistent goal. I do the same thing today that I did when I first started. It just so happens that now I have more eyeballs on me. But that's only because I continue to do the same thing over and over again every day. Come, sit down, find the best content on the internet, post it, come on the every single day. And granted, I can be a little bit more, not as aggressive as I used to be. I used to post 3 to 4 times a day. But it's a lot of work of, what hashtags do I use? And granted, I don't even want to get stuck on hashtags because I really don't think they're important. What is of most value to the people I'm trying to attract? That's number one. Number two is, where can I go find this thing, or how can I create it on a consistent basis to where I don't get tired and I can still spend time with my family? And number three is like, okay, how do I distribute this? And that could be, I have to have the right hashtags. I have to have the right media outlets. Those are like the treachery things that, come to the tail end. But it's doing consistent actions, that valuable actions that a particular audience would like. So for example, the reason I knew what I was doing would work is because there were other accounts doing very similar things on the internet, and they were already in the 100,000, 300,000, 500,000. And I was like, okay, what they're doing is working. I want to do that too. I just want to switch it up. And instead of, they never put a personal face in front of their work. It was always, oh, we're just an inspiration page. But I turned it into, I am going to curate and teach you guys, not only show you guys really cool stuff, but I'm going to teach you how to do it. So that was my spin to it. So there was already, I just reverse engineered what was already out there. I just made a small tweak to it, and it was not just showcase really cool stuff, but teach people how to do it. So that's my answer there.
Awesome. So consistent, valuable action on a regular basis is the key here. All right. So we have one more question from Zohair in the questions tab, and he wants to know, and as well, because a lot of other people have also voted for his question. So his question is, I want to know what steps can I take to build my personal brand being socially introvert. Oh, and I think, yeah, this is really, this is a question which generally people feel that me being an introvert, I can't have that personal brand. So I think that's, would you like to throw some light on it?
Definitely. And I get asked these questions even by my best friend, and even not best friend, best friends. There's so many different ways that you can actually do this sort of thing. A lot of people think that you have to show your face to actually do business. This is not the case. If you just go on YouTube and watch media channels or people who are doing what is it called, like news reporting, but just showing news and just telling the story on top of it, you've never seen their face, but they have millions of subscribers. There's tons of people that you can find online who build businesses and also do build personal brands, but never show their face. So if you have, my solution to you is to find the industry that you want to impact and find people who are really good in that industry and see who, number one, shows their face, but two, also who doesn't show their face, and see if you can replicate any of those, because there's always people in our industry that do that. For example, the people that I copied, they never showed their face, but the differentiator for me was, I'm going to show my face and I'm going to show people how to do this stuff. And granted, the people who I started after, they're still larger than me. They're still like 500,000 followers. They still don't show their face. So there's always ways to grow. And you just have to, do a lot of Googling. What industry do you want to be in? Who are the top people in that industry? What content do they create? And on top of that, who shows their face and who doesn't? And the people who don't show their face, they're most likely introverted too. Not going to blanket statement that, but that is a way for you to execute, to not have to show your face or be drained by a mass of people.
That's right. Yeah, that's completely right. So there are other questions as well, which we have in the questions tab. Let's go through that. Okay. So Nate is asking, what are the metrics to assess whether I am on the right path or not? And if not, how to do damage control? Okay. So he just wanna do the evaluation thing, whether he is going on the right direction or not. Finding a personal brand. Yeah. And I think that's a very important question to know.
Yeah. So, Nate, I wouldn't say, okay, if you want to talk metrics, it's like, did I get one person more to figure to follow what it is that I'm providing value wise. There's two types of metrics, because in the beginning there really weren't like there weren't any metrics really. I just continued to, even when nothing was going well, I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to show up and do my 3 posts today, just because. I'm going to show up and do 4 posts today because I said I was going to do it. So your first metric has to be you just going towards, like, blindly towards your goal. But also, when I say blindly, I mean like you already have a goal in mind, but you also see somebody else have achieved that goal in either a very similar way or a close enough way to where you can copy it. And then your action is, okay, I'm going to try to get to where this person is, but I'm going to do my little spin to it, but I'm going to take these small actions each day to get there. And my first metric, and this could be different for anybody because I just throw things at the wall and see if it sticks, and that's probably not the best way to go about it. But continuously keeping your promise to yourself that you're going to take these actions to get to where you want to go, but also the metrics to see, like for Instagram, I was seeing, okay, this week compared to last week, I had more likes, I had more followers. But the thing is that you can't look at metrics from a day to day when you're just first starting, because you're literally ground zero and things are not going to change dramatically. We're talking about metric changes like from month to month, maybe. It's like literally sometimes it's from week to week if you're literally putting as much work as posting in 4 times a day like I was, or it could be every 2 weeks, every month to month. But the metrics you're looking at is who's valuing what I'm putting out. Okay, great. Literally looking into the profiles. Are they designers? Are they the people that I'm trying to target? What do they like? What do they like more of? Looking to see who else they follow. Like, those are the metrics that are important to me. Are the people that are following me or liking my content the people I actually truly want to attract and provide audience to? Because if you're trying to do design or web development and you're just like attracting people who like to cut grass, what kind of connection or network are you building? Granted, they could like to cut grass, and they may be looking for a website, but my audience is people who want to learn design in particular. So that's just my personal example. Hope I was able to answer that one.
Yeah, I think you really mentioned very insightful points, and I hope, Nate, you have got the answer of your question. If you have more follow-up questions on that, do ask us. Okay, so going ahead with the questions, Megul is asking, I hope, Megul, I'm pronouncing your name right. Should we have 2 Instagram accounts, like professional and personal, for building a personal brand? That's his question.
Yes, because if I were to post a dog in the middle of my feed tomorrow, people will be like, Brandon, why? So have very specific accounts. Like, business should be for business. Personal, that's for your dog, your lizard, your cat, whatever. But business things have to be like what I said earlier, is focus on one thing. If someone comes to your Instagram, like if you were to come to my Instagram account, or when you do come to my Instagram account, you see it's one thing only: design inspiration and design lessons. Those are literally the only 2 things, but they're all around in the design niche. If you were to come to my page and there was like 3 dogs, the next thing maybe 2 cats, and then a design thing, what do? You have no idea. So keep whatever you're doing separate from your personal stuff. If your personal stuff is like, I like to post my cats, my dogs, my family, my vacations, things like that. So keep it separate if that's what you're trying to do.
All right. Moving ahead with the next question. Shall we move ahead with the PPT, and then we can take up the questions in next 10 minutes?
All right. Oh, wait, what? What happened?
You have more presentation to show, right?
No.
You have prepared some content. No? So we are just taking the Q&A now. All right. Which is good, because I have a lot of questions to ask. Okay, let's go to the questions tab again. Brandon, can you see more questions on the questions tab? If you can read it out.
I do. Do you want me to read them out or do you want to pick them?
You can read them out. That's not a problem.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. When starting to work, how do you manage the fact that you mostly can't deny clients to make your income without sacrificing the personal brand you were trying to create? Oh, that is a good question. Okay. So I actually, man, that is a dangerous path. That is a hard path. I don't mean dangerous, but it's very difficult to do that. So for example, I stayed in a full-time job until I could constantly work with the right type of people for my business and only get that right type of people. So I had a lot of headache for like 2 years because I was doing 2 full-time jobs. I was doing my full-time job and I was doing my business. But I totally understand because I couldn't the stress of having to constantly say yes to people who for projects I did not want to do was so difficult because I would have to take low pay. I needed the money, so it was hard to negotiate. And I couldn't build the brand. I couldn't see a way to build the brand. That might not be the best question for me. Like if you guys know Rand Segal, he's been a freelancer through and through. I highly recommend that you guys check him out. He's very large on YouTube as well, but I just don't have the experience to answer that question in terms of like how to build a business from scratch, but only being in that business. The reason I decided not to do that is because you have to deal with things like that, because you have to deal with projects that might not be suitable. So, but if you don't want to go to, do that balancing act like I was doing full time and running your own business, you're going to have to take clients that are actually, I'm not going to answer that. I don't have the best, but there's a very good video on the future of how to actually get out of bad client relationships so that you can build the brand that you want, but also get paid. So check out the future on YouTube with Christo. Plenty of great videos and way better explanations than I can give you guys. I just don't have the experience to answer that. How can you get exposure to my website and promote my new fashion brand? We will save that. How do you decide which course to buy or not to buy because there's so many people? All right. Let's talk about. Oops, hold on. Are we still live? We are. Okay. So in regards to courses on how to start building a brand on Instagram, there are a lot of courses. They all are pretty good. The only thing that you guys need to worry about on Instagram is being consistent value-wise. And also, granted, there is a guy named, what's his name? Hold on one second. I'm going to see if I can pull him up. David. I'm going to show you guys. This is a friend of mine. I'm going to just show him up on screen really quick. He's on Instagram too. He's known as the Instagram Doctor. And if you guys follow him on Instagram, this guy actually has a very good course. But really, the only thing that you guys need to worry about on Instagram or any sort of social platform is how to create really good content on a consistent basis and reach the people that you're trying to actually sell to or build a community with. So check out David or Dave Tallis. I'm going to see if I can put his Instagram in the channel really quick, or in the chat rather, so you guys can check him out. And I'm also going to put in the chat the future. Give me a second here. And I am also. All right, but while that's loading, let's go back to the questions panel. What else we got? Dun, dun. How can I get more one-on-one clients? All right, this is a great question. A lot of people that I talk to, they feel that they need to they can sit back and let people just come in and hire them. That is the wrong way to go about this. For the longest time, I had to go out and approach people and basically say, hey, my name is Brandon Groce. This is what I do and is of value to you because I've seen on your website or somewhere online that you need help with this. And this is how I can help you. 1, 2, 3. If you have any more, if you're interested in working with me, book a time to call, 15 minutes. Here are my open times. Literally just introducing myself to people and just outreaching. Like I said, you are not going to be able to get as much work from a personal brand at first, rather than going out and selling your services and what it is that you provide to other people. So that is how you get more one-on-one clients if you're just starting. Reaching out to people. Let's see. Another question. Do you use hashtags in your favor? Hashtag is, I'm actually really bothered by hashtags. Reason being is because people think that they're so important. Granted, they're important to a certain extent. They're important to help platforms categorize what it is that you posted and help other people find stuff that they want in a categorized and organized way. The only thing I care for you guys to know about hashtags is figure out what are the least competitive hashtags. Think like this: the most competitive hashtags, the medium level competitive hashtags, and the least competitive hashtags. I'll explain what that means in a minute on these platforms. Highly competitive hashtags are anything over like 1 million people in that category of hashtag. Medium level of hashtags, those are anything from 100,000 to like 50,000 people in the hashtags. And you can see this when you go on Instagram and you type in a hashtag, you'll see like 1 million posts in this hashtag. In the really low competitive hashtags are anything from 0, don't do anything with 0, but things from like 1,000 to maybe 10,000. And you want to use a mix of the high, medium, and low hashtags that are in your niche. Like a lot of people just Google what are the best hashtags to use on Instagram. That is the wrongest way to go about doing anything on Instagram or any social media. You need to be using hashtags that people actually use. And to do that is you have to do a little bit of research yourself. You have to go into people's pictures, the specific people you are trying to target. So for example, when I was doing this, we can do a little showcase right now, actually. I'm going to share my screen again and show you guys this in a second. This is something I think is really important for you guys. It's a little bit of marketing. Let's see, share my screen really quick. All right. So basically what I would do is this is the person that I basically thought I copied to or got inspiration from doing my own branding. He's got 400,000 followers. And basically what I did, I was like, okay, great. What are the type of people that like this content? I basically clicked on his content. I found the people who basically comment on his stuff. I clicked on their accounts and I was like, oh, okay, this person is the designer. Great. And I also went into their followings to figure out who else they are following. Okay. And I was like, oh, they like to follow other designers as well. They follow a lot of female designers. They follow Rand Segal. They follow, people from the future, basically getting a taste of what these people actually like. In that way, I can figure out like what people I'm trying to attract actually care about. That way I can continue to post that. Hashtags, I can also figure out, okay, what do people in my niche, the people who actually like my stuff, what do they use in their hashtags? And to be honest, for the longest time, all I did with my hashtags, let's go back to our first person. I literally just copy and paste my hashtags. That's how not important they are. I literally would go to people who had really large followings, copy their entire hashtag list and put it in mine. The reason being is because success leaves clues, and if that's working for them, that should work for me. If you have no idea how to do any of the research, that is number one. Just copy and paste somebody else's hashtags that is already successful in your niche. All right. Let's see what other questions we got. Sometimes motivation can dry up. How do you push oneself? How do you motivate yourself? I mean, Nate, motivation is difficult. The thing is like I'm really curious what demotivates you. Like you just have to, like when I first started there, I did not expect to have a certain result at a specific time. My only goal for myself was I want to post daily for a year, 3 to 4 times a day. That's it. And that was my goal for myself. And I think when you start comparing your achievements to a specific goal and you don't meet those goals, that is when you get demotivated and you're like, oh, I don't have 10,000 followers by the end of today. And that can be demotivating because you're looking at numbers and not seeing the numbers, but you're putting in a lot of work. As long as there's small incremental growth and you're doing what you said you would set out to do each day, set your mind on doing those things rather than on a number, because numbers change all the time. You can lose them, you can gain them, but set your motivations and your well-being and what makes you happy on what you tell yourself to do. And if you are able to do what you say you're going to do each day and crossing that thing off the list, that is an achievement rather than being like, oh shit, I lost a follower today. You know what I mean? That is, you did what you set out to do, and regardless of the outcome, you still checked that box. So that's, instead of saying like motivation dries out, change where you are setting, where you are putting your expectations. Okay. How can you earn Instagram to earn money in your niche, not by working as an influencer? There's tons of ways, but regardless, both influencer and earning money on Instagram in your niche require large audiences, um, large traffic. You can do affiliate marketing, or you can do affiliate marketing is just taking, for example, like I do a lot of work with Skillshare. Skillshare wants to do work with me. Reason being is because I run about 297,000 people see my stuff each week. So that's a lot of people I can send over to that platform. And you can do the same thing with affiliate marketing. There's tons of affiliate sites that showcase or that have a lot of products that you can just help your audience get. And you don't have to create those products. You don't have to, all you have to do is say, hey, here are A, B, and C product that I know you guys would like because you like my content that is also A, B, and C. So for example, if you're making content for people who are trying to cut bushes better and they need a new pair of like shears or whatnot, you could create content around a particular product that these affiliate marketers are trying to, or excuse me, these affiliate platforms are trying to sell, and you could sell back to your audience and not have to create a product. You're basically just saying, hey, I know my audience likes these sort of things. I know you guys have products like this. I'm just going to be the middleman and say, hey, I know you like this. I know you have this. Send them on over. So influencer marketing and affiliate marketing, basically the same. You just need numbers. Let's see what else. And going back to the question of how can I expose my website and promote my new fashion brand, same thing, making connections. That is what personal branding is, because you're bringing value to multiple people at once, but also make sure you are finding people that can actually help you gain exposure and promote your fashion brand. So emailing and outreaching to the correct people. Now you're probably asking, like, who are the correct people? You just need to do your Google research and figure out who those people are, what positions they're in, and how exactly they can help you. For example, I wanted to work for a mentor platform, and I didn't know anybody there. I just constantly went on LinkedIn, figured out who was in charge of the mentor hiring process, emailed them, told them who I was, what the valuable things that I've done, and how I can be of value to their team. They then responded to me because I already knew what they needed help with, and they saw that I knew what they needed help with, and therefore they started the conversation with me because I actually did my due diligence to figure out what they needed and really what they wanted. And I just filled in that gap. So figure out, not just through content creation and all of that, but figure out like who can help you, and don't just sit back, but actually take initiative and meet those people. All right. Let's see. Looking through more questions. What tips would you give to establish and maintain good relationships in our community? My friend, it's just being a good human being. Just like a lot of people think that the internet is different than in person, it's really not. It's like, how can I help you? And by helping somebody else, that builds a relationship. And, you know, more likely than not, sometimes not, but the person that you helped out will try to come back and help you. And that is what content does. You are helping people get what they want out of the internet or their time on the internet. And that through that and doing that over a period of time, they become a part of your community because they are trying to help themselves get what they want, which is learning about design, learning about how to cut those shrubs correctly, learning how to build websites. And you're constantly giving that to them on a daily, weekly basis, on a consistent basis, not every other random month. You have to be consistent. So the best way to establish and maintain good relationships is give people what they want on a consistent basis so that they trust you in being somebody that they can trust into giving them what they want. Okay. I know that sounds really vague, but you just have to show up consistently and give people what they want so that they learn to trust you. And that is what building a relationship is. Okay. Any tips on how to be unique, like to stand out and be known that it's you, it's your design? Donna, like, there are so many designers. The unique piece is because everybody's stuff is unique, and it can be unique in a certain way. You could, just like other design, like my example earlier on. I'm just gonna showcase this again. All right. So like I said, the first time I wanted to start doing like an inspiration page or something related to myself, right? I saw these guys. These guys are still very successful. UI Design Patterns. They have 400,000 subscribers. And the thing that they do well is they are Instagram and comedy webpage, or excuse me, Instagram page. And what I saw, I was like, all right, cool. That's great. But for me, I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to teach design. So I do videos, I do tutorials, I also do very comedic Instagram stories. So the uniqueness is like what already works in the market, and then taking that and putting a small spin to it. That is what makes you unique. I mean, you can see it here. Me and this other person, we do very similar things. We just do something very different that makes us unique. So that in my case, instead of just a logo, I'm an actual person. I have stories. I talk about my life on the daily. So it's more personable. Whereas this model still works for him. He just posts content on the daily. Instagram in what is it? Design memes. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's see what else we got. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, books. Give me 1 second. I have a list of books that you guys can definitely check out. And also, while we are at it, if you guys are looking for any more business, if you're a designer, you guys are a designer, you're trying to, level up your design game, animations, get hired and highly paid, definitely sign up to my newsletter. I just put it in the chat here. I do weekly emails to you guys on the top books that I'm reading, the top resources that allow me to get to that next level in my design career, and anything that I find that helps me in my craft, I send out to you guys on a weekly basis. I put it in the chat here so you guys can check that out. You guys also, I'm going to give you guys my reading list, my Amazon reading list. Give me a second. And this is everything from designing, branding, marketing that I have found is absolutely just very useful. I'm going to try to find that for you guys. Give me a second here. My favorite book is one book I'm extremely excited about reading right now is All Marketers Are Liars by Seth Godin. Love all his books. So I really recommend that you guys check out any Seth Godin books on marketing as well. Let me see. Dun, dun. And after I send this to you guys, we will get right back to the questions. Okie dokes. All right, while I'm looking, let me see. Do you guys have any books that you guys have read, or are you guys interested in advertising, marketing, or design books? I would really like to, let me see if I can do a poll. Sadly, I can't do a poll. Let's see. All right. Good morning. Design books, excellent. All right. So here is my list. And put them in the chat below. So this is everything from design, pricing, design, negotiating in terms of like how to actually win projects. This goes to another course, goes back to another question that we got earlier, where it was just like, well, how do I steer away from clients I really don't want and get the clients I actually do that are still in the brand to help me build the brand that I want? So this is my collection of books. I really love, if you guys are in there right now, I love all the books from Austin Kleon. If you guys are wanting to figure out how to price your work accurately, definitely check out Burn Your Portfolio in the Psychology of Graphic Design Pricing by Michael Janda. Those I highly recommend. And also there's one more book I really recommend for you guys, and it's The E-Myth Enterprise. It's the first book in that link. Yes. All right. Yeah, Julian, you also have whatchamacallit in there. You have, I have all my design, marketing, and business books in there. So that should be, you guys should be covered there. Let's see. What are the don'ts of maintaining? What are the don'ts of maintaining a good brand? The don'ts are just, I mean, I really actually don't really like the term personal branding, because it's really just being a good human being and being authentic, providing value to the right people, and just making sure that you have your image is good. Not only being a good person, because when we talk about images, like if you see an asshole, you're like, I don't like that person. You can also see somebody who you really do like, and you're like, I like this person because of A, B, and C. You want to figure out how you can be that good person to a specific group of people so that you have trust between them and you, and that is your community. So just think about it like that. How do you want to be seen in real life, and apply that to your online life? Let's see. How can you make our identity when our work is being outsourced by any PR agency? How can we brand ourselves there? Well, that's a communication between you and the PR agency. Obviously, the PR agency, I don't know what they're doing, but you still have control of what's being said. If you're sending stuff to a PR agency and you're just like, write whatever you want to say, that is not at all PR, because you need to be able to control the story. But anyway, all right, Rashmi, what's going on?
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I was trying to fix this. My internet connection was really, really bad over here. Suddenly, something happened, and I lost my internet connection. And I was trying to fix it up, but yeah, I'm back again.
All right. Well, we went all through the questions. I think there's a couple things in the chat, but I think other than that, we are good to go. And I got one more question, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. So, is it normal to have shitty clients in the beginning? Yes, most definitely. But the thing is like your next step from there is how to figure out how to get better clients, how to negotiate with clients. In the book list, the Amazon list that I sent in the chat above, I highly recommend you guys read Never Split the Difference, and um that book is probably the best. That, and there's another one that is not in this list and should be. Uh Man, I'm sad. I don't remember what it's called. Yeah, I don't. The book is in the other room, but there's two really good books. And one is paperback and the other one, all the ones that you can get online or through a Kindle, I have in the link. But this one is like the best. If you guys have want to know what this book is, just message me on Instagram and I'll message you right back. But that is it.
All right. So, guys, do you have any question? Brandon, have we? Can I ask you one, two more question? I do have, although I missed your session in between because of this internet connection. But can I go ahead with few more questions if you have time?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. So, although we received a lot of questions from those who registered, and one of the question was, what is the most difficult thing in building a personal brand?
Consistency, because a lot of people give up in the beginning, and because the reason that they give up in the beginning is because they feel like there's not enough change happening rapidly. But the reason that I feel like they get demotivated, or why I would get demotivated in the beginning, is because I was putting my reason to be motivated on the metrics, the numbers. I'd be like, oh, I didn't get a new follower today, or I didn't get a new follower in the last week. But the motivation should be on top of, or the reason to be doing things, or where your proudness should come from, is I set out for myself this many tasks to do today, and I got all of them done. And they're still all going towards my goal, which is to to be known for something, and to also accomplish what I say I'm gonna do in that day. So because I've finished everything that I've done in that day, I'm really happy about that. And if I only get X, if I lose a follower, okay, maybe we need to figure out why that happened. Or if I gain one, okay, cool. But I'm not going to put all of my emphasis on the metrics. I'm going to put the emphasis on my work ethic.
All right. And one more question I have, which is about what is the first step you should take in rebranding yourself, who is coming out of a bad job? So somebody who has built a personal brand, worked good for few months or years, but suddenly, if how to sort of come out from a bad job and rebrand yourself. What are the strategies that it should involve?
Sure. And I mean, I'm not sure what exactly you mean by, well, I know what you mean by a bad job, but a bad job should never affect a personal brand unless you actually did something wrong. But even then, here's the thing. It's not necessary. People will only know what you tell them, right? And a lot of people there's ways of saying things that allow things to be looked at in a positive way. So for example, in marketing in Chicago, you could say, oh, I'm not even sure if this is the correct place, but Chicago or X city is really well known for their polluted waters. That's negative. But you could also say, Chicago has really amazing, beautiful hotels, great sky or high rises, and it's where exactly you're placing the emphasis, right? There's good and bad in every area, but how can you emphasize on one good piece of information that makes you stand out, but also you can emphasize and why you are important and above other people in your industry or in your marketplace. So always de-emphasize stuff that you don't want to be known and emphasize the stuff that you are really good at and you want people to know. That happens in marketing all the time. It's not lying, it's emphasis.
All right, that was the last question of the day. So, everyone, I hope all the questions that you have asked during this webinar are answered. And to those who are asking whether they will get the recording of the webinar, yes, you will be receiving this recording on your email right after this webinar, and we will be also uploading the same on YouTube. So, those who had bad internet connection like me unfortunately can check out the video later on the YouTube and in the recording. Brandon, anything else from your side?
Nope, that is it. And if you guys are looking for any more of the books mentioned, again, I'm going to leave grab the links in the chat before you leave. The Amazon one for all the books. And if you guys have any other questions, just message me on Instagram. I'll answer anything there. We can go from there. But thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brandon, for taking out your time and for hosting this beautiful webinar. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. We hope to see you in the next webinar that we'll have, and you will also receive a feedback form in your email about this webinar. So feel free to, put your suggestions there as well. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Brandon.
All right, Rashmi. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye bye. Take care, everyone.
Bye.